for individuals with chronic illness. Without wasting time, an illness refers to a state of poor health or a deviation from normal functioning that affects an individual's physical, mental, and emotional well-being. In other words, whenever there is a deviation from your normal functionality of the body, from the normal physiology of the body, that is what we call an illness. However, an illness can be acute or can be chronic, and when an illness is chronic, it is a long-lasting condition. It may persist over a period of 3 months or more. Or in case it is acute, it is a short-lived condition. It comes and then it goes. Malaria, for example, stomach ache, headache, those are some short-lived illnesses. However, they also indicate a deviation from the normal body's function. Then stigma, as a term used, it refers to the negative attitudes and beliefs that society may hold towards these individuals with the chronic illnesses. You get individuals with such long-lasting illnesses. Such attitudes produced to them by the society. That's what we term as stigma. Then another term is health-related quality of life. For this case, this term assesses how individuals' well-being is being affected by their chronic illness in physical, emotional, and social domains. Yes, that's what we mean by health-related quality of life. In other words, how is this chronic illness affecting the individual? How is it affecting their quality of life? You get it, eh? Yes. How has it affected their daily activities? That's what we mean by health-related quality of life. Then going to the next slide, other terms. Depression as a term used in chronic illness. Depression is a mental health disorder characterized by persistent feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and loss of interest in activities. In other words, an individual who is depressed, they have a mental health problem of they feel so sad every time. They feel hopeless. There is no hope to surviving. Another they have lost interest in their daily activities. Those are all characteristics of depression. When it comes to anxiety, it is a psychological or physiological response to stress or perceived threats, and it is characterized by feelings of worry, nervousness, or unease. In other words, an individual who is undergoing anxiety, such an individual always lives in fear. You get it, eh? He lives in fear of something. They are being threatened by something. Something might happen. Sometimes individuals live in anxiety of certain health conditions. For example, HIV/AIDS. Whenever someone is positive of HIV/AIDS, they feel like life is ending the next day. Life is ending in the next hour. You get it? So always they live in that aspect of fear. However, the difference here that anxiety is more of long lasting and it affects him more than fear. Mania as a term used in chronic illnesses. So it is a mental illness characterized by periods of great excitement, euphoria, delusions, and overactivity. In other words, this individual who is manic, in other words, the individual who has mania, is always excited most times. They can do something from nowhere under which whereby a normal individual cannot do. You get for them once they get excited, they just do something that way. You get it? Eh? Those are the manic patients. The ones I was talking about yesterday, whereby it is even hard to administer treatments to them because they will disorganize everything and it increase costs for health. You get it? Yes. So mania is this condition and is associated with the delusions. Mania can coexist with the depression. There is a disorder we shall see with the time called bipolar. A bipolar disorder. This is disorder as you hear the word by, it means it too, whereby an individual has both episodes occurring. There is an episode of excitement, that is mania, or there is an episode of depression, the depressive episode, whereby
Yes, please.
video
Yes, please.
is living
I
in
need to.
sad in only they are discussing it today. We have those ones which are biological and we have those ones which are mental. Hmm? Yes. So the ones which are biological, we have cancer. Most of these cancer conditions, you cannot heal from them once you contract the cancer. You can only try to control it by yes, families inherit such scopolamine traits. You get it? It's also chronic illness. You cannot cure it apart from finding ways of living with it. Then disabilities. Still, even these disabilities, we just find ways of living with them. For example, rehabilitation. We have rehabilitation centers, and these ones can be accessed to get help during such chronic illnesses. Disabilities whereby an individual is lame, deaf, or blind, and other cases. Then mental illnesses, which are chronic, we have depression. An individual can live a depressed life. Usually, however, this comes from childhood development. It usually comes from early childhood development, whereby an individual they lacked parental care, they couldn't play with their fellow children. You get it. That's what that's where chronic depression comes from. Then bipolar disorder, the one I've just talked about, that is the disorder which has both episodes, mania and depression. Someone can live in such a disorder for their lifetime. Then schizophrenia, I've never talked about this. It is associated with hallucinations and delusions. I told you hallucinations, it is that feeling whereby you can sense something that other people around you cannot sense. Someone will tell you that me, I can see people putting on white, they are telling me to run away. Eh? Then you ask that person where are they seated. Someone points that they are there seated, yet you, the normal human being, you can't see such people. That's what we call hallucinations. Some people even hear voices which others are not hearing. Hmm? Those are all hallucinations, and it uh, is a symptom of schizophrenia. Schizophrenia, like I've said, is associated with delusions. Delusions refers to detachment from reality. Eh? Yes, detachment from reality. You start speaking things that you cannot even correlate. You get it, eh? And others cannot even understand such things you're speaking. Those are all symptoms for schizophrenia. Then post-traumatic stress disorder. This occurs usually after traumatic situations. For example, accidents. If someone survives an accident, you might find out that they can get this disorder and they are always stressed. And it is a chronic condition. We can just find ways of how these people can live positively with the condition. Then the other looking at other slides, we have the psychological impact of chronic illness. How do chronic illnesses impact the mental well-being of the patients? First and foremost, emotional distress. These individuals who have chronic illnesses are always distressed. You get it? Their emotions are not always working so well. They take even bad decisions. They can just make any decision from nowhere. You get it? Yes, another impact is depression. I've talked about depression, anxiety, that is living in fear. These individuals live with a sense that they are even dying tomorrow or they are dying in the next hour. They always have that feeling, that fear, that threat, and that's what we call anxiety. Then social isolation. These individuals tend to feel like they don't feel in the society. They get discriminated. They are stigmatized. You get it? Yes, that is social isolation. They don't socialize with others. They cannot live on life the way they used to do. You get it? They cannot. They're always isolated from others. They isolate themselves. And then another one is loss of identity. They feel like they're no longer fitting in the society. You get? Fellow youths cannot be with other youths who are not having chronic condition. Those are all psychological impacts of the chronic illness. Then relationship between chronic illness and quality of life. Uh, Chronic illness leads to increased distress. I've talked about this, and anxiety, feeling like you're dying the next hour, feelings of isolation. Someone no longer fits in their colleagues, they are helpless, and these ones lower the quality of life. Another relationship is that managing chronic illness will require lifelong ongoing medical treatment. People on dialysis, yes, they have to always go to the hospitals to receive treatment, to receive cleansing of their kidneys. You get it? And this is something whereby if you just skip one dose like this, it is a life-ending situation for you. You get it? So people with chronic illnesses will need a lifelong ongoing medical treatments, life adjustments. They have to forego some of the things, some of the foods they eat, some of the drinks they take, and they have to also have coping strategies whereby they have to adjust to new demands of the chronic illness. Then chronic illnesses disrupt daily life activities. This includes relationships and a sense of independence. The way people were related to you, the way they could approach you, it changes. It changes. And this is they feel like they might even contract the condition by getting near you. You get it? Yes. So for that case, chronic illnesses disrupt daily life activities. Um, this theory and some others indicate the relationship between chronic illness and the quality of life. Either way, in summary, chronic illness lowers the quality of life because it really changes, and the threat is that it changes. And then coping mechanisms in management of chronic illness. What are some of the mechanisms that we can do when we try to manage chronic illnesses? Seeking, I'm going to give the details of these mechanisms in the next slide. So we have seeking social support, maintaining a positive outlook, educating oneself, engaging in relaxation techniques, setting realistic goals. All these are coping mechanisms. Let's get oriented in the next slide. Uh, First and foremost, social support. Social support. We are now tackling the role of these coping mechanisms. Uh, that is their role in managing chronic illness. Florence, you have just come around. You're welcome. Okay. Social support. This includes family
Thank you.
members, friends. Okay, okay. Friends, mentors, and others. We are trying to look at the coping mechanisms in the management of chronic illnesses. You'll receive these slides or you'll go online and rewatch this video to get the parts you have missed. Yes, we are talking the role of coping mechanisms in managing of chronic illnesses. So, first and foremost is social support, and I'll say this includes family members, friends, mentors, and others, but it all rotates around social support. These can offer encouragement, they offer empathy, they try to comfort you, they try to give you understanding, and this gives the patient a sense of belonging, which can help in relieving fear, anxiety, and the stress. Then positive outlook. You as an individual. You see, positive outlook reflects a positive mindset. Even we, the health workers, we want to work on someone who is having a positive mindset. It is really hard to work on individuals who will always be saying after I'm dying. After you see, such individuals are really hard to work with. So you want to work on someone who is having hope that I'm going to survive, much as their condition indicates a very, very bad image. So a positive mindset equips individuals to navigate the complexities of the illness. It makes them maintain hope and engage in self-care practices. And this all comes from having a positive a positive mindset. Educating oneself as another coping mechanism. So the patient learns further information on illness, including treatments, self-care strategies, and this makes them feel more in control of the condition. Therefore, caretakers must ensure that their patients, the ones they are taking care of, are informed of the condition that they are going through, such that they always don't live in worry and they have a very good understanding of the condition that they are going through. You get another coping mechanism is the relaxation. Relaxation techniques. This may include deep breathing, mindfulness, meditation. Usually, we even advise it taking regular physical exercises, having people to talk to, join in community groups. These are all relaxation techniques. So these ones can help reduce stress, anxiety, depression. Uh, this enhances mental well-being and improves the quality of life. We doctors and other health workers, we must know these techniques such that we can give advice to our patients as we admit them, depending on their type of chronic illness. Another mechanism is setting realistic goals. This is done by establishing achievable objectives. An individual can come up with objectives, goals. They can come up with aims to achieve. You understand? So these individuals can maintain a sense of control over their circumstances. This enhances their self-esteem. They believe in themselves. You get it? And they foster a positive mindset. Remember, an individual patient needs a positive mindset. That is the first goal you as a health worker must achieve first. So such goals can provide a structure on individuals' daily activities. They can try to come up with the way they spice up their day. Uh, with the way they spice up their days, and it is really helpful in managing the chronic illness. Um, as we go, those have been the coping mechanisms. Then, as we go for the next slide, we are trying to look at the stigma and the social implications associated with living with chronic illnesses. First and foremost is stigmatization. I already talked about the stigma under the terms. As an individual, the way the society handles these people with chronic illnesses, it tends to separate away from them. Societies tend to discriminate these individuals. We already have even that implication, discrimination. So stigmatization is the way the society handles these people living with chronic illnesses. Then isolation. These patients with illnesses tend to set themselves away from others. They don't socialize with them. You get it, eh? Yeah, they are always out of place. They feel like they are not fitting. And I told you one of the goals as health workers, you must ensure that your patient is not isolated. You must ensure that they don't isolate themselves from other people, such that they get in touch with them. And we have seen social support as one of the coping mechanism to managing chronic illnesses. Then discrimination, the difference between these two, stigmatization and then discrimination, is that the stigma is how the society tries to distance themselves from, tries to handle these people with chronic illnesses. Under stigmatization, we shall have an example of, don't you come near me, you might cause me that disease. You get it? I should not play with you. My children should not play with your children. You get it? That is stigmatization. And then discrimination. People tend not to come closer to you. People tend not to share with you. For example, lines in banking halls. People tend not to line with you. You get. Whenever there is a social event and you come around, People will leave that place or they will not invite you. You get the difference, eh? Yes. Uh, that's what I try to mean by the two. And then financial strain is also an implication whereby you need it to get a treatment every day, especially for these chronic illnesses. I mean, for these chronic illnesses, you must get treatment every day, almost every hour, and that is financial. Right? It needs the money to access these such services. Yes, and then another, there are very many financial strains transporting you, bringing you. In case we cannot transport you to the health facility, bringing you the health worker from the facility to come to your home. That is all money. And then another implication is emotional impact. You get, you cannot function very well, you as an individual, when it comes to your daily activities. This is because you have emotional imbalances. You cannot think well. You have lost the personality for you as an individual. So those happen to be the implications of stigma and the stigma and the social implications which are associated with the chronic illness. Then strategies to enhance psychological well-being for individuals with chronic illness. We are trying to look at what can health workers do to ensure that these individuals living positively with chronic illnesses have a proper psychological functioning. First and foremost, seeking a social support. We have seen this as a coping mechanism from families, friends, supportive groups. People can have mentors. People can join groups of members who have the same condition. For example, people living with sickle cell anemia. In a society, when we recognize that these individuals we have with them, we tend to form a group whereby they are all sickle cell anemic cases, and they try to give each other pieces of advice on how well they are trying to cope up with the condition. Such groups also provide rehabilitation to this patient. Then another strategy is engaging in regular physical exercise every day. In a case, unless some disabilities cannot allow, however, if you're able to do physical exercise within your limitation as a patient, such a patient must do this physical exercise because they will ensure that other parts of the body are working apart from the one which has the problem. You get it? And then physical exercise help in mood relaxation and improvement of emotions. And exercise also helps us in relieving stress. Practicing relaxation techniques, we have talked about this as a coping strategy, including deep breathing, meditation, or yoga. I hope you know yoga, aerobics, daily aerobics. Yeah. Maintaining a healthy diet to support overall well-being of the body. This is crucial. Include fruits, vegetables, and take little of the ready meats because these ones have high calories, yet your body is not able to utilize them. Calories that is reflected from the calorific value. Another strategy is setting realistic goals. I have talked about this under the coping mechanisms and realistic expectations for oneself. An individual can set up goals that at least I have to finish this before the end of this week. Meaning their mind is going to focus on their goals other than their illness. Then seeking professional mental health support through therapy or counseling. We have very many workers who can help on physiotherapy, psychotherapy, and other therapies. It is very important because these ones give guidance and counseling on how well to cope up with the illness. Then another strategy is educating oneself about the illness. I talked about this under the coping mechanism because this makes you informed of the condition. At least you'll know how to manage symptoms whenever they come, much as you are positive of this condition. This goes to us now, the health work, because we are students who are going to be health workers. You must ensure that you thoroughly explain using a simple and clear language. You explain to your patient with this chronic illness every information about this illness, such that they can find ways of managing this condition by themselves. So another strategy is finding ways to stay engaged in activities that bring joy and fulfillment. We said one of the components of chronic illness is depression. These people always live a hopeless life, a life of sadness. Therefore, as a health worker, ensure that you reach out to their caretakers and advise them accordingly to make sure that this patient lives in joy and at least they are not so sad always. Another strategy is developing coping strategies to manage stress and anxiety effectively, one of which is relaxation and physical exercise. Lastly, is building resilience through positive thinking and self care practices. Resilience. Yes, let's have set up a positive mindset as a patient and as a health worker. Make sure you tell them good information. Yes, much as they have a few days to die, but don't you tell them that, according to this condition, I think you're about to die in 2 days or 4. Don't tell them. Ensure that they have a positive mindset, and even if death comes when they are not at least dying in the other bad way. Because these are some of things that, yes, you cannot fight against it, but also the way it happens matters a lot because it might leave these others, those who have been their caretakers, determines a lot on how it is going to leave them. Um, this lecture has been a short one. It has been only for 30 minutes. So this marks the end of this lecture. Colleagues who have joined in later, I advise that you watch the video online and you understand this concept very well. It is very important. We have been discussing about psychological aspects of chronic illness. That has been our lecture 4 under the psychology lecture series. These have been our objectives. Those who have missed, this is what you have missed, and those who have come along the way, you can easily see whether the objectives have been achieved. Otherwise, this marks the end of my lecture for today. Unless there's any, uh, perhaps like a question or something like we always do. Thank you. Anyone can say something? Florence? Yes, Florence, go on.
Yeah, thank you very much for the brief lecture, though I got it in the middle, but it is good for me. Um, Mine is just a request. I don't know where I will get your slide from. I don't know who will share it, and yeah.
Oh, okay. For that case, I will link up with the program coordinator, Mr. Sam. I think he's the one who shares. Yes, Florence? Something? I was just
Okay, it's
saying that
okay. It's okay.
get in touch with the program coordinator. But yes, I always share with
Okay.
him. Mm,
Okay, it's okay.
okay. Most of you have come when we are trying to close. Those who have come in late, you watch this lecture online. Otherwise, I wish you a good night and have a good evening.
Thank you. Good night too.